In this webinar, we will cover and demonstrate how threat modeling can, but also should be integrated with your CI/CD processes and tools. I am Sebastian. Have a background in software engineering, but have been doing software security over the past 20 plus years. This webinar is tailored for developers involved in threat modeling as a collaborative process. If you're not familiar with threat modeling, you should check out the Threat Modeling Manifesto. Our focus here is on integration of threat modeling into your build, test, and deployment pipelines. We will not be threat modeling the CI/CD pipeline itself, but we'll discuss how to incorporate threat modeling practices within those pipelines. Additionally, demonstrations will be provided by David Doughty from IriusRisk. In current fast software delivery, we face quite some challenges with threat modeling. Keeping our threat models and systems we develop and operating in sync, but also ensuring stakeholders like developers or project or product owners remaining engaged and aligned with our threat modeling processes and reacting faster to changes in systems, tackling existing and new threats and vulnerabilities. Automation enhance the efficiency, consistency, and scalability of our threat modeling efforts. It's crucial to choose tools that integrate smoothly with our existing development stack. This integration allows us to streamline processes, minimize human errors, and ensure that our threat models are updated in sync with our systems. Automated threat modeling can be seamlessly incorporated into our CI/CD pipelines to enhance security without disrupting the workflow. By setting up scans during key phases such as code commits throughout the build process, but also in pre-deployment checks, we ensure continuous evaluation and mitigation of potential security threats. This method supports agile development practices and maintains a strong security posture by integrating essential checks directly into our pipeline. Automated threat modeling can significantly streamline security in our development lifecycle. By leveraging infrastructure as code, we gain the advantages of version control, enhanced collaboration, and efficient automation. This approach allows us to enforce security policies consistently and automatically at every stage of development. It ensures that security is an integral part of the development process, protecting our applications from potential vulnerabilities from the start. We can also leverage advanced tools to ensure our threat models are consistently updated with the latest security threats. Integrating with the security orchestration, automation response, or SOAR platforms allow us to automate responses to emerging threats, keeping our systems secure in real time. This integration not only enhances our security posture, but also streamlines the monitoring process, making it more efficient and less prone to human error.
We're going to look at CI/CD integration with IriusRisk. The base project that we're going to use is an AWS example project from Terraform, but it's fairly straightforward. So where do we start? I've already imported the project initially, so we're working from existing infrastructure. We've deployed this, it's running in AWS. We've gone through all of the threats and the controls that we feel are relevant, and we've implemented those that we've deemed necessary. There are some that are of low priority that haven't been implemented. So if we look at the threats and we filter on unmitigated, there are some which we've not dealt with at this particular point in time. So response, where they have some controls implemented, but we've not done some of the other controls for whatever reason, time, effort, and so forth. So we're coming into the next iteration of the project. We're going to be deploying some new infrastructure, a new S3 bucket, and we want to know what controls we have to implement for that. So we go ahead and we define that in our in our Terraform, and then we push it through our pipeline, which at the moment is a Circle CI/CD pipeline, just for my ease of use. It took a little while to get things up and running. So we're going to make some changes, and then we're going to push them into the threat model and see what effect that has. So we'll just put that on the diagram. As I say, we're going to deploy a new S3 bucket. So once I commit my new Terraform configuration into GitHub, it automatically triggers the CI/CD pipeline to build the project and then to update the threat model. So what happens as part of the pipeline is it automatically updates the threat model. So as you can see, the diagram has changed. There's a new S3 bucket appeared in the middle of the diagram. It's not connected to anything. I haven't configured it. It's just a bog standard S3 component. So that's now updated the threat model, and we've now got some additional threats, unmitigated threats associated with this new component. Mitigated threats. So I called the component fire hydrant. So this is highlighting some additional threats associated with this particular component that we might want to implement. So from this, we can take a look at the threats independently, and we can see that the threats are mapped to controls that we might want to consider implementing. At the moment, these are recommended by default. Depending on our security guidelines, we could identify those things which are mandatory for the business. Maybe many of these would be mandatory for setting up your Terraform. So we can see what we would advise at this particular point in time for each of the threats associated with this S3 bucket, and the various things we want. So what would we do if we wanted to implement one of these controls? Maybe we've just included a placeholder in the Terraform. How do we enhance that to improve the security? Well, we decide which of the controls we want to implement. So yeah, maybe we want to do all of these, but for the moment, maybe let's just look at S3 versioning, etc. We want to require that. In that case, this means that we want to assign an engineer to go do some work, and to do that, we would create a ticket. At the moment, I've got a variety of setups, Azure DevOps, and a couple of Jira projects. I'll just leave the general integration and go create a ticket in Jira. So this essentially translates the countermeasure information, the control details of what we would expect implemented in AWS. And that information, as I say, is replicated into, in this case, Jira, and we provide details of for the engineer what they need to do. So you can then go away and you can go look at the Terraform, update the Terraform, and identify and update the controls to make the S3 bucket that we've just deployed a little more secure. So assuming you go away, you make those code changes in your Terraform, you can identify that this ticket is done, and once that the status has been updated, if we synchronize this system with the issue tracker, which may take a little minute or two, and if we then refresh with a bit of luck. So we take the status of the ticket and we update the control to having been implemented. However, that just indicates that the engineer has completed their part of the work. Now, it may be that you use Jira to create separate tickets for testing and validation and manage it in that way. If you're using IriusRisk, then you can also use your CI/CD pipeline to automate that validation, to be able to automate the feedback into the system to indicate that the system has been tested. Now, there are a variety of testing tools that are already implemented automatically, or there's an API endpoint that allows us to update particular controls directly. And that's what I've done in the CI/CD pipeline. I've got a separate CI/CD pipeline to make this a little easier to update. So what will happen is that will trigger, I'll trigger that manually, and then that will validate that the S3 versioning is configured correctly and update IriusRisk appropriately. Once that's done and the feedback is positive, then we get test result indication has been automatically updated. So that kind of that validation, that CI/CD pipeline could be run operationally to continually feedback the status. So again, if for some reason this fails testing, so if it goes from passed to failed, then the control will be reset to required, i.e. it requires investigation. So obviously I'm doing this manually, but if the feedback was automatic, now that control is now no longer implemented correctly. That gets fed back in the system. Our threat is now red. It's been failed testing, and we can then review that in the system. So there's three points that we've indicated that we can integrate into our CI/CD pipeline. Certainly, from a Terraform perspective, we can update the threat model based on our Terraform content automatically as we commit changes, and that will be reflected in the architectural diagram of the threat model. That will then highlight potential threats and controls that would need to be implemented. We can feed that into our backlog to update engineers to be able to review that and to implement the change, and then we can validate that with automated testing. All of this can be driven via our CI/CD pipeline in Circle CI/CD in this particular case.
We should regularly review and refine our automation processes by incorporating feedback from testing and real-world incidents. This continuous improvement helps to keep your security measures robust and responsive to new challenges. Additionally, training developers to understand and actively participate in the automated threat modeling workflow is crucial. It will empower them to contribute effectively to security discussions, enhances their ability to identify and mitigate risks within the development lifecycle. If you want to know more or have any feedback, do not hesitate to get in touch with IriusRisk or connect to myself on LinkedIn.